No, because he's not paying attention because he's making tea.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I
that's
didn't know
how he
that.
gets hit by the meteor. Is he says himself, "I was not paying attention." It is complete. This whole game is completely his fault.
Oh, yeah. I
So
mean,
anyway, sorry. I'm very passionate about.
the Hakatations are not the brightest people.
Is that really the Hawkatations?
That's how I say it.
That sounds
The
like a black
Hokatations?
soul group from the 60s.
Honestly, yeah. I see that. Welcome to a very special episode, even though we've probably said that every time. The Pikmin 1 episode of the Backlog Club. I am so excited to talk about this with Jordan, as his face is just gleaming right now.
Hi.
He is so joyful.
Hello.
He loves this game.
You know, it's very topical. I'm wearing a Venom shirt because that's how I feel towards this game. I have a lot of venom towards it. Adrenaline momentum. Got him.
It's just a good game. But let's get into the synopsis. Let's talk about the story a little bit. You're a little man, a little Hakatation, as we've gone over, and
Still stupid.
he's dumb. I love you, Olimar. You're definitely a real person.
I hate you, Olimar.
We hate Louis, but that's when we do Pikmin 2, we can talk about him.
Oh, he's a funny guy. Oh, no.
You're just a little man flying through space, trying to earn an honest living, working a Hokate freight, and you crash land while apparently making some tea. Man just wants to enjoy some tea on his long trip back home from work. I don't see the issue in that.
I think if there's a danger of meteorites striking your ship, you probably should be paying attention. I mean, I get it. We all get distracted and mistakes happen. But if the mistake literally leads to the story as you're going to tell it, I think maybe he may want to reevaluate his priorities.
Not as dumb as a ping pong match. But anyways, getting back to it. You crash land on a planet that's definitely not Earth. PN 404, I believe is the name. PNF 404, something like that. All 30, not all of them, but 30 of your parts for your ship just scatter across the land, and you have 30 days before you run out of whatever Hakatations breathe, because it's not air, it's not oxygen. 30 days to live and 30 parts to collect, or else you die. And it's kind of a compelling story to me if you really go into the lore. And we'll talk about that in a second. But it's just a good little puzzle game. It's borderline puzzle. I think there's puzzle elements to it, but
I would say honestly, it's more like a real-time strategy.
yeah,
Instead of you have a mouse and you're dragging and clicking, looking everywhere, you just have to do the thing where
it's a first-person real-time strategy game, even though it's in the third person.
not on a computer, played
Yeah,
with a controller.
you don't feel like you're playing with a board game. You feel like you are Olimar, and it's a little more personal. So,
The time I spent with that game was personal. That's for sure.
do you have any thoughts on the story? Because you kind of made a bit of a reaction when I said I love the story.
I think Olimar is an idiot, and I think trying to feel sad for somebody who very clearly is so irresponsible and then wants me to care about it and help him fix it because his poor family. Why take a job? I mean, earning an honest living, I get it. You got to take some crazy job.
Yeah,
I just don't like this game.
yeah.
I just don't like this game.
Okay, well, if you don't like this game, let me talk about what I love about the story before I go into defense mode. Because I did not know until just a few moments ago that he was drinking tea, and that's why he crash landed. That's dumb, yes. But from the game perspective, when you don't learn that by playing the game, it's a compelling story because this story just makes you feel for the guy. He just wants to go home to see his family. He happened to get struck by a meteor. He's on a random planet, and he is fighting for his life. And it's just each diary is just it just makes you sad. It makes me want to fight for this little dude just trying to get home to his wife and kid.
All right, I will agree with you there. His diary entries were compelling.
Yes.
Even if they were the diary entries of an irresponsible father. It's still
He's not irresponsible. He's trying to make money, and he even brings back a souvenir for his kid, which you may not learn that until the start of Pikmin 2, but it's like the first thing that happens. So I don't know. I love Olimar, and I just love him. I don't want to go into the other games too much, but I love him even more with every entry.
Yeah, my main experience with Olimar has always been Smash Brothers,
Yeah.
where he was pretty much useless.
Olimar.
And so he was the character you'd pick when you were just going to style on somebody and be like, hey, like, you're really bad at this game. Let me show you how bad. I'm going to beat you with Olimar. I know that makes me sound like a jerk, which when it comes to Smash Bros, especially playing with my little brother, sometimes I am. But yeah, that's my main experience with Olimar. He was the character nobody wanted for random
Yeah.
select. And so when Jake suggested that we play Pikmin, I'm like, oh, I'll finally play the game that this character I've only interacted with in Smash Brothers is from.
Mm-hmm. And that's a goal of mine. A goal of mine.
Golemar. Goal of mine.
I eventually want to at least try every game from like the characters included in Smash. Final Fantasy is gonna be a tough one, but Fire Emblem might be even tougher for me. Finally getting to know who this random guy is with all these colorful Pikmin, playing him very rarely in Smash, and then getting to know him as a character in his own game. It's very compelling to me. It's like the stress adds to the fact that, oh, I need to get this man home so he can see his wife and kid. Like I'm fighting for this dude because I feel for him. Maybe it's just something that I get as I get older. I feel more emotion when it comes to the family stories and stuff, and it maybe seems a little silly when we're talking about a fictional character that is not remotely human, but he's a little human.
He looks
looking.
like, he looks like a man.
Yeah.
He's humanoid.
The size of an ant, but
I think he might be even smaller.
yeah.
But yeah, I get it. I agree. It is compelling, and the stress of trying to get him home within the 30 days. I think that's where we really differ on this game, is because that kind of stress, as I think I talked about in Metroid Dread, it was stress where you had a clear direction as to what you're supposed to do and like how you're supposed to solve this problem. The game, for me, the big problem is, all right, they dump you in and you have to, discover things along the way, but it's within a time limit.
Yeah.
So I feel like I can't really, explore all my options and figure things out because I'm just going to run out of time, which, full disclosure, I totally did. I totally did not get the required ship parts because I found out later you didn't need all 30. You only needed 25. Didn't get all the ones I needed to be able to actually get him home safely by the end of the playthrough. And that's just because I was paralyzed by choice.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to explore and try and figure things out, but I really felt like I couldn't because
you gotta go fast.
Because you gotta go fast. But if you don't know what to do, even if you read, and I tried to read, even if you read, it's not very clear in what order you're supposed to be doing things. Because there definitely is like an optimized order that you can try.
And that's where I'm like, even though I haven't failed in my attempts, and I probably won't since I just know the game pretty well now, I feel like this game is kind of a roguelike in a way. Obviously, you don't keep anything from your previous playthroughs other than the knowledge that you get, but it's a semi-long, it's a medium-sized game. It's an 8-ish hour game. So yeah, having to go through all of that, lose, and now I'm supposed to start again, I can see where you're like, not the most fun aspect of the game. It's supposed to be something you learn more and more through each playthrough. And like for me, it's kind of like Metroid in the sense of, okay, I did it in 25 days. This time I want to do it in 20. And I just going for the faster and faster time. I don't know. I love this game a lot, so I'm going to say anything and everything to make it sound like an amazing game.
And you should. That's what you should do with the things you should fight for the things you love and not get hit by a meteor while you're making tea. When I found that out, I lost all sympathy for this dude because I was on his side. I was like, man, I did feel that emotion when I started. afterwards when I found out that he was just not paying attention. Because I don't know, I kind of get the vibe from Olimar though that he's resourceful, but he also kind of creates a lot of his own problems. I feel
Yeah, it's
so.
Louis.
I just lost sympathy for him, especially just I also when I was getting so stressed that I
Yeah,
was like it just wasn't enjoyable. My experience with this game was not an enjoyable one. It was pain sitting down to play it. I would lay in bed thinking like, "Oh man, I really got to finish Pikmin for the podcast." But it was so painful. It
yeah.
hurt me.
Okay. Well, what? We've talked about the story enough because I there is definitely a story to this. I think there's more story in this than a lot of games, but it's not the main focus of it. Let's go into defense mode here. I'm going to go into defense mode. What aspect of the game do you really dislike other than the stress as we've gone
The
over?
time limit.
The
The
time
time
limit?
limit being imposed upon you so strictly, and you never quite feel like you have enough time to do anything or figure anything out. I
Mhm.
really felt like I was punished for exploring and trying to figure things out. I was punished for not having previous knowledge,
Yeah.
for being new. And also, I found the controls. I played the GameCube version
Mhm.
um, because at the time of recording and when I played, I wasn't able to get the Switch version.
Yeah.
Um,
It's expensive.
yeah, Switch
Not
games
really.
never
Yeah.
go down in price,
Yeah.
so especially recent releases. So I ended up playing the GameCube version on an emulator just because
The way to go.
that was just what was available, and I wanted to play the original version of the game.
Yeah.
The controls and the way the Pikmin, like, they're just things you have to know, I feel, in order to enjoy the game to its fullest.
Yeah.
But I think there are still some barriers, like I said, the controls that would make it, even on repeat playthroughs, would make it an unfun experience. In
Yeah.
addition to just the overall stress of the
Eh,
game.
I did so afterwards you told me off camera how much you disliked some quality of life aspects of the game, and I went back and played because I had never played anything other than the Switch version before this, and after the fact I went and played the GameCube version, and I even played the Wii version, and yeah, there is so much that is different. Like we talked about the N64 versus the 3DS version of Ocarina of Time, and I definitely think that there are a lot of improvements in there without even playing the 3DS version. But I think that the jump from GameCube to the Wii version is bigger than the N64 to the 3DS, and I think that the Wii to the Switch is an even bigger jump of improvements. Like people complained that they didn't like give it the Metroid Prime remastered treatment, like the visuals weren't updated and stuff because the grass in the Switch version is still pretty low quality.
Right.
It's a really bad image. I will give you that. Other than that, I feel like if you just changed the grass on the ground, it would look so much better. Especially when you look at Pikmin 4 on the same hardware. That is one of the most gorgeous games on the Switch. But anyways, I I do think that the Switch version is a bit of a remaster more than a port because there's so much that has changed from the Wii version and especially the GameCube version.
Yeah.
I think with the stress and the time limit, I don't think you would have enjoyed it that much more, but I think you wouldn't have been as pissed off.
Yeah, because there's things that I would try to do, like, I know in the Wii version, because I will say this as well. I forgot to mention it when I was talking about what version I played. I
Yeah.
tried the Wii version initially,
Yeah.
so I don't want anybody being like, "Well, why didn't you just emulate the Wii version?"
I set him on the Wii path to start because I'd heard at that point the Wii version was better than the GameCube version. I just didn't know how much better the Switch version was.
Yeah,
And I would have just handed him my Switch with the game on it and said, play this, and then I'll play it after you.
yeah.
But
But so I tried the Wii version. there was issues with the emulator and the controls, and so that led to a lot of frustration. And that being the first thing I tried. I feel like that frustration really did carry over though still
Yeah.
into the GameCube version because so in the Wii version you can cycle Pikmin. That was something they added from Pikmin 2 if I'm correct. That was
I don't know because I haven't played the GameCube version of that either.
so anyway, something they added. Don't know from what game it's from.
Yeah.
Not going to get specific, but it was something they added and I had that in the Wii version, then I went down to the GameCube version and not having that wasn't a huge deal,
Mhm.
but it did affect how quickly you're able to do things because every second really counts.
Yeah.
Every single second.
Oh yeah.
And when your Pikmin are just the AI, I don't know if this is like it in all the versions of the game.
So much better in the Switch.
Yeah, the GameCube version, they literally do whatever they want at certain points. Because
Yeah.
did you encounter the issue that I was having where you direct them to go around a wall so that none of them got caught, and then all of a sudden you look at the map, to see where you're going, and you see just like a whole batch from you're like, where are the rest of my Pikmin?
Yeah.
Why are they over there?
It's still a little bit like you really only get like one or two stragglers in the Switch version. But one thing that I noticed when I went back to play the GameCube version was okay, like when you throw a Pikmin at like one of the flowers and they take down the pellet, they don't pick up the pellet that they just
No, you have to direct
knocked
them to
up.
pick up the pellet again.
And I didn't know. I was like playing the Switch version. I'm like, yeah, that just makes sense. And when I kept walking away when I was playing the GameCube and the Wii version, it doesn't fix it in the Wii version either.
Oh no.
I kept walking away. I'm like, why is my count not going up? I'm like, oh, because they're not picking. I have to throw another Pikmin to pick it up, and that was frustrating. And there's a lot of frustrations I have with that. And like I can walk around. Like when I was in the Forest of Hope, I noticed I would walk around with my group of Pikmin, and I wouldn't touch the C stick. I wouldn't do anything, and they would just start grabbing things that were on the ground already.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, they do whatever they want, and it because again, I'm stressed already.
Yeah.
Like I am stressed. I'm like, okay, we got to get to this
Mhm.
wall. We got to break it down, and I got to set like 30 of you guys here, so then I can take you guys over here, and you're the only ones that can go over here, and then 10 of like the yellow Pikmin, the ones that I need, are like, oh
Yep.
no, we're just gonna eat some grass real
Yeah,
quick,
okay.
bud.
That's different because the grass will turn into the dew that they drink to be flower Pikmin, and the flower Pikmin are faster
Right.
and better. And so that I understand. It's frustrating as heck. Oh, and also trying to regroup the Pikmin, you have to hold the whistle for so much longer in both the GameCube and Wii versions than
Yeah.
you do in the Switch version.
Yeah, it
And
hurts.
I'm like, dude, it's just there's a lot of things in the older versions that are not snappy. But once I learned, okay, this is different, this is not as good, I was able to train my brain by like day 3. Okay, like I'm back in business. But that's also a part of my knowledge. Like if I was explaining it to my mom, who probably does not care at all, but I was like, if I only had the GameCube version of this game for the rest of my life, I would still play it all the time. I still love the game enough, and the difference is it's just quality of life. It sucks. There's glitches in the game that suck. The AI is not great because it's 2001, but it's still fundamentally the same game, and it's something I love enough that I can push through it.
I think that's where we differ.
Yeah.
Is because if I had the Switch version, I haven't played it, so I never say never.
Yeah.
But I don't think if I had the Switch version, my overall opinion of this game would change. I think fundamentally I don't enjoy this type of game.
Yeah.
And and that doesn't mean when I say Pikmin bad, I say that from the reference of, I enjoy strategy, but like on the fly improvisation, like action,
Real time.
yeah, but like not the top down, like, all right, you send these people here to do this amount of
Yeah.
work. Like you have to manage resources. It's not something in life I'm really good at.
You don't want to be a manager. You want to be a kidager.
I want to be a kidager,
Yeah.
exactly, or a dadager,
Mm-hmm.
not a momager.
You understand, Jer? I mean, you
Dager?
understand?
Yeah. I may end up sounding hypocritical throughout this podcast, but it's just because I feel something fundamentally in like my core where I like this game just doesn't agree with me. And I don't think that means that Pikmin is a game that nobody should enjoy.
Yeah.
Far from it. I'm glad that you enjoy this game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad there's a game like this for people who want that kind of thing. It's just not for me.
Yeah.
And I think there's a reason I never was really interested in it, even when I like heard about it
Yeah.
and saw it like Pikmin 4. I was like, all right, good for the people who want that.
Mm-hmm.
Like every time I see a Fire Emblem game, I'm like, all right,
good for you, bud.
Good for you guys, but
Yeah.
I wish it was something else.
And like I had never had any interest in Pikmin. I'm like looking at it. It's like, yeah, this is not my game. And then something just switched at some point at the beginning of this year, and I was like, I want to try it. I think it was played. Oh, that's what it was. I watched Alfred Gold play it in early this year, and I'm like, okay, this game looks fun. And that's happened with a lot of games on that channel this year. But I was like, I want to play this game. I searched for the Wii version. I could not find the Wii version for the longest time. And then they're like, boom, we're dropping it right after this direct. And I'm like, I'm buying it. I bought the combo pack. Wanted to wait for the physical, but I didn't want to wait 3 months. Played it, loved it, played every single Pikmin game. My hands were like hurting so bad towards the end of Pikmin 4 because I was just grinding it so much because I love it so much.
Because you're mashing.
I was scared that I may have given myself some sort of arthritis.
Carpal tunnel or something.
Yeah, like my hands were like Chandler playing Miss Pac-Man for too long. I was just like, okay, I need to take a break. But yeah, I don't know. I love everything about Pikmin. I do have a few complaints, but yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Did you notice any differences between the mashing in the GameCube version? You were able to mash just as fast as in the Switch version?
Yeah. I don't know if they had the same power. I did not get to the point. I didn't unlock the blue Pikmin, so I couldn't face the beetle guy that you said you struggled with a little bit. I mashed and I didn't have a problem with it. I do think that the aiming is a lot better. The auto aim, if you will, because there's no like auto aim like you'd see in a Call of Duty or something. But
yeah,
I noticed it was harder for me to hit the one shots on the little bulborbs, the little first enemies you get.
Oh yeah, the small bulborbs or whatever.
And the big bulborbs, bull bears. I don't know all the scientific names for them. Those were a little bit harder to take down, and I think that was due to the aiming of it, even though I had the cursor in the right spot.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I knew the strategy was like, oh, just throw a ton of them on the back, and that stuns them before they. Because I from what I'd seen of Pikmin before, I had seen like, oh, throw them on the back, it'll stun them. You can continue throwing. But I was never, and this may have just been an emulator problem, so it's not the fault of the game, especially if you say you didn't encounter it. But I never found myself able to like mash super fast, especially like I couldn't one shot the beetle.
Yeah.
Like it took phases. Also with the aiming, speaking of the beetle, I was never able to consistently get it inside his like vacuum or his suck zone or whatever you call it, whatever
sucker.
Yeah, his siphon hole or whatever, his air hole. There you go. That took us a while.
I wish I would have gotten to that point before starting this podcast, but for me, it's never been a problem, and because it's an enemy that comes back in all the games, and it's just an easy one shot for me every time. Now that I know, I think the first time I encountered him, it was like a two round thing. I think that maybe it's like slightly slower in mashing. It wasn't noticeable that I was like, oh man, this is way slower. Like the first thing I noticed in the GameCube version is the camera. It's almost like Z targeting. you have to press L when
Yeah.
you want to change the angle. I'm like,
Oh yeah.
ugh. Because I know the C stick, it's still the guiding thing, which also notice there's no arrows to tell you where you're pointing your C stick on the screen.
You just kind of gotta guess.
Yeah, and it's not as powerful to guide them to where you wanna go. Like,
Mm-hmm.
they kinda, like, sprint, like they're on the track and they're down low and they just get a big
The
gust.
gun pops off in
Yeah,
there.
they don't
Yeah.
have that jolt to start in the GameCube version, but it there's just little things in the game that, were noticeable, but not like, I would've finished it in maybe 27 days instead of 24 days kinda thing, but
See, but there you go. Like if it's so for someone for you,
for me,
for the
yeah.
quality of life changes to make it so it takes a whole another like 3 days.
Yeah.
Imagine for me
Yeah.
how like horrible that who's
Mhm.
already struggling at getting one part a day,
Yeah.
you know? So
And I think
yeah,
that's also, like I said, I think it was meant to be replayed multiple times until you got it down, and if you enjoyed the game, you were supposed to fall in love with it on the way there, where you're like, "Okay, you see that leafling Olimar, and you're like, 'No, I can do better. I know what to do now. I'm, like, energized, I'm reanimated, I'm ready to go. Let's start this over again, square one,' and then you start off with 100 Pikmin on day 2, like, because what you said before, you're like, "How do you have that many Pikmin already?" And it's like, it's just knowledge of the game, and I think, for me, that's what makes it fun on subsequent playthroughs is, "Okay, now I know more, I can do way better, I wanna see how good I can get it." It's a high score game in an era where high score games were on their way out.
like replaying a game to have more knowledge about it is fine. I typically like that though with like games with action combat where I have like I know more, I know the twists. Something about this, I just the management of things and the Pikmin getting distracted and being like, okay, you got to do this wall
Yeah,
and this wall. But oh gosh, I took a little bit too much time because I need every single Pikmin I have to fight this boss.
yeah,
And then like two of them didn't walk through the hole,
yeah.
so I'm now kind of screwed because it's like oh I didn't notice it, but which is on me. A lot of my complaints I do recognize are more
Yeah.
me than like the game.
But I also understand that this is just not your type of game. So
No,
I take everything with a grain of salt. But I have a question. Do you like being the leader in real life? Like, do you like instances where you're the one in charge? You're leading a pack of people?
no.
No. I
Uh,
think that's what it comes down to.
And it's not that like I'm not the person who jumps up to take the lead.
Yeah.
I'm the person who will be like, okay, like if I have to, I will do it and I'll try to do it my best.
Yeah.
But no, I'm not the person who's like, I want to be in charge.
Yeah.
I want to tell people what to do.
Yeah.
Like,
I like not every time, but I like taking the lead. And I think that is just like a fundamental thing. If you don't like being in charge of a group of 100 animals, then you're not gonna like this game.
yeah. Well, and it's just I think it also I guess I can do it if it's something I'm interested in. Like I can do it if I have like an emotional investment and
Hmm.
like a good amount of interest in something. Going into this game, my interest levels were not the highest to
No.
begin with. So I just this poor game, I will say, just really just had the worst kind of
Yeah.
setup from me.
And the time crunch that we gave ourselves.
Yeah, like oh, it has to be done. Well, I mean, even you even gave me like an extent. I feel like I was talking to a teacher. You gave me an extension. I was like, please, I need like a couple extra days because I am in shambles. Um, but yeah, and that even having the emotional investment, like I don't want to let you down. I don't want to let our podcast listeners down.
Hmm.
Even with that, it still was like there was real anxiety I felt
Yeah.
having to boot up Pikmin and like try to get through it
Hmm.
because it just was not something I was enjoying.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't think video games are meant to be
Yeah.
enjoyed or really played that way.
You really want to enjoy the thing that you're taking a break from the real world in, you know?
Yeah. I think that's the difference is like, working like an 8-hour shift and then coming back and being like, Pikmin.
And
I was like, no.
you go from working a job to, oh, now I'm the manager.
Yeah. Now I'm the manager and
Yeah.
all of these people are idiots.
Yeah. Because, like, I can't wait for the day that I am coaching my kids' like basketball team and stuff. And
Mhm.
I guess that's the thing is like I want to be a coach, and Olimar is
Olimar.
the coach.
Yeah.
He's the man.
I think that's the difference.
He's gonna take us to the ship, dude.
He's going to take us. He's the Michael Jordan of Hocotation.
No, he's the
Singing My Girl or the Michael Jackson.
coach. Coach, what's his name?
Coach Frank.
Sure, we'll call him Frank. I can
Yeah.
see him.
Pete Carroll.
Sure, we'll go
The
with Pete
Seahawks.
Carroll.
There you go. He's the Pete Carroll.
He's the Mike Tomlin.
I don't know who that is.
He's the Steelers head coach.
Of course.
Yeah.
I'm not a sports guy, but I don't like the Steelers. So
Sorry to cut into your regularly scheduled programming. I don't know at what point we're cutting in, but Pikmin merch is actually here on time. So that was actually a really good Pikmin sound. Thank you. I guess I can't really talk and show this this same time.
ladies and gentlemen, what we've got here is Olimar with the 3 Pikmin from Pikmin 1. They're walking on a stick. It's pretty cool. Designed by Jake himself. I think he did a wonderful job.
Thank you.
He forgot my shirt. That's why I'm not wearing it. Otherwise,
Yeah.
I would be. This isn't like some callback to like, oh, Jordan hated it, so he refused to wear the shirt. No.
I do find it funny that I even got you a shirt though, because you're never gonna wear it outside of this podcast.
You know, I actually would wear that, and then people would ask me how I feel about Pikmin,
And
so
you
then I
would-
can segue into telling more people to not play it.
Yeah. But I'm pretty proud of this. I'm not like the biggest graphic designer, but I've designed all of my personal merch. So far, I have some things on commission. Aaron comes in this dark heather gray that I just call black, and
Is that literally the name of that color?
yeah,
Oh, it looks charcoal, but
I
dark
love it.
heather.
Charcoal's a little darker. I
Who's
think.
Heather, and why is she that dark?
I don't know.
Is she sick?
Go buy a shirt, retroremaster.com. Thank you. There's other designs out there too, hopefully by the time you're seeing this. Maybe not.
Mm-hmm.
We're a little behind because this was kind of a last second thing. But Pikmin stuff is ready for Pikmin episode. Woo!
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 Yahoo!
That's what I've been waiting for.
But anyway, yeah, getting back to it, I think for me, like, I don't like feeling responsible
Yeah.
for people because I feel like I'm not qualified.
Yeah.
Like, that's my main thing. So I'm just like, I am not qualified. What is Olimar's qualifications? What are
Yeah.
my qualifications? None of these people are listening to me. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm so stressed out. I want to go cry. I want to go curl up into a ball and cry. My wife kept asking me, she's like, why are you playing this game if you don't like it? And I'm like, that's a great question. You know?
Yeah. I mean, there's going to be games throughout this podcast that I will have that feeling
yeah.
towards.
Well, we've
that
talked about the one that you had that feeling towards.
Yeah, I didn't have anxiety with Ocarina of Time. I just had immense amount of frustration because it's not a good way to live life, but I like to find something that I can blame. And I found a lot of things I could blame in that game, like you probably could too in Pikmin. But
Yeah, that I'm sure can also just be attributed
yeah.
to my stupidity. What's that proverb? Don't attribute to malice what you can easily attribute to stupidity. I feel like I shouldn't be like, no, they designed this game maliciously. It's more just
Yeah.
like, nah, I'm just dumb. I'm just dumb.
Yeah, I think it's just a fundamental, like, that's just not your type of game. And, like, the difference with Zelda is I still think I will love Zelda as a series. The things that I hear about other games in the series, I'm like, yeah, that sounds like a ton of fun. I enjoyed what I played of Breath of the Wild. I am looking forward to playing Tears of the Kingdom, and I'm looking forward to Twilight Princess, even Skyward Sword. But I don't think there's a world where we play another Pikmin game and you enjoy it.
Well, and I think the difference there is nothing fundamentally changes in a Zelda game, but there are
Yeah.
always new mechanics and there is a new reason to take on this journey.
Yeah.
The core gameplay of Pikmin pretty much remains the
Yeah.
same. And I feel like a lot of your gripes with Ocarina of Time also were a sign of the times, like when the game
Yes.
was made. Uh,
But there's also a lot of complaints that you have that were
True, but there's also still like the
yeah.
core gameplay loop is not my thing.
Yeah.
Of unlock thing, make more Pikmin,
Mm.
unlock more things, or get ship part, do it all over again.
Micromanage a bunch of different groups of Pikmin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get that. And
If I had if I had maybe a little bit more time, I would feel better. But it was that 15-minute timer so short.
you want more time, you say.
I feel like more time would be helpful.
What if I told you in Pikmin 2, you have this thing called caves? In caves, when you go in them, time stops. There is no time you go into a cave and you come out at the same time that you went into the cave.
So it's just like a time dilation kind of thing?
Yes, and that's where the majority there's still things in the overworld that you have to complete before the day ends, but the majority of the game is spent in the caves, and even then, the day limit is not 30. You're not going to die. You came back to the planet with a purpose, and you're prepared. So you have 99 days, which I think they just couldn't fit 100 in the little circle for the days, but
Well, I mean, Final Fantasy games never go up to level 100. Maybe I think they just
Yeah.
like the number 99.
You cannot run out of time in Pikmin 2. And Pikmin 3 is so baby easy that you would be pretty bad if you ran out of time.
That changes my opinion slightly, but I also don't want to promise Pikmin 2 anytime soon
Yeah.
because I need to heal.
Sound off in the comments right now if you want to see us play Pikmin 2. And those of you who have played Pikmin 2,
Pay money.
you know why I have a devilish grin right now. But because there's something else about the game that I don't want to tell you.
I will quit. I will be like, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
There's some funny things. There are some antics that this game pulls.
Nah, wait a minute. You ruined it. I was feeling good. You ruined it. Nope.
You'll forget. Don't worry.
No, I won't. You know I don't forget stuff like that.
You forgot we went to middle school together.
Bruh, I had like 4 different friend groups in middle school.
Yeah.
Trying to find myself. No. Yeah, okay. Maybe.
Yeah.
Sound off in the comments. I'll read your comments. Maybe you can convince me.
We'll
I can be bribed.
We'll find a compromise game where there'll be a series that we'll come across that I hate that you love. So, and maybe Majora's Mask is.
See, but I don't want to play that.
Okay. Maybe Ocarina of Time again is.
In New Game Plus mode, like the completionist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else that you'd like to complain about with this game?
I mean, at a certain point, I just feel like I'm whining. I feel like
Yeah.
anything I say is just gonna.
I felt that way with Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, it's just kind of just like, man, this just seems. I seem like I'm being very depressing right now, and I don't want people to be like, "Wow, he sucks." Pikmin is everything about my personality.
Yeah.
How dare he attack me and not, this thing I've adopted into my being.
Arlo. Love you, Arlo.
I didn't know that about you. That's news to me. So
Arlo is like the Pikmin guy. I don't know if he wants to be known for the Pikmin guy, but he's been pretty happy that.
I thought he was the puppet guy.
I mean, yeah, but he's like known for loving Pikmin, kind of like Ant Dude is known for loving Kirby.
Is he? I don't know that.
No.
We watched different YouTubers.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. Rampant ADHD causes me to just.
Is there anything you actually liked about Pikmin though?
Yes. I really liked the music.
Yes.
I found the music to be my one piece of solitude and comfort.
It was the One Piece.
The One Piece is real? No. I really did. I liked the Forest of Hope sounds, and I found everything. It was very like it helped with the atmosphere. I thought the level design was cool.
Yeah.
I thought the enemy design was neat. Like
Mhm.
everything looked cool and interesting, but it's just like I said, the core gameplay, how I
Yeah.
interacted with those things
The
wasn't my favorite.
the soothing music wasn't enough to calm your anxiety.
No, because I was having to operate like it kind of faded out as the screaming and sheer terror took over my brain.
What if it was heavy metal screamo music playing?
That's even
I
worse.
know.
That's my wife's favorite music, and that just makes me feel anxious. I'm like, oh no, I just sound so whiny. I sound like a
Nah,
baby
you're
right
good.
now.
You're good, dude.
I feel bad,
You're
but
I
like,
feel bad about Ocarina of Time. It's just
I'm sorry I didn't like your game, Jake. I'm
yeah.
sorry, guys.
You
I
can't be
really
too
tried.
apologetic because then I'm the villain in the first episode.
Well, maybe you figured out my trick. No, I'm kidding.
You're Emineming it. You're making fun of yourself, so I can't. So
8
they
Mile,
can't.
baby.
Yeah, there's just no saving it for you. There's nothing that could change other than it is changing the day and time limit enough that you would actually like the game. Say that you just there's no day cycle, there's no time limit. Would you enjoy Pikmin?
Mm, maybe because I did. It was satisfying when I completed and like got a ship part back to
Mm,
the ship, or I unlocked a new Pikmin, or I beat a boss. Like it was satisfying. But I think my main problem is everything was just undercut by that underlying stress of like, all right, got to do it again. But now I have even less time. Like,
yeah,
is there any way I can optimize things further? It was just not. It was not knowing, and there were places I didn't even get to because I ran out of time.
yeah,
That I'm sure, if you took the day and time limit out,
yeah,
I really do think maybe that would have a difference if I was just given the freedom to explore and figure things out naturally, just by because I learned by doing.
yeah.
Like that's the easiest way for me, but there wasn't a lot of time I felt to do that. The Pikmin themselves, like trying to walk across, there's this one part in the Forest of Hope when you're going to fight the long necks.
Yep.
When you move the box, you which I didn't even know, you told me you could throw the yellow Pikmin over it to the other side.
I tried that in the GameCube version and I just couldn't get them to do it.
Oh,
So I think that's just the Switch thing, or if you're just like a speed runner of this game, then you could probably do it in the GameCube version. Because I think I learned that from someone else playing it in a different version, but I don't know.
yeah. So anyway, in that zone, trying to get all my Pikmin to walk across the little land bridge
Mm,
without falling in the water
yeah.
was like next to impossible. And that was a quit moment for me. There's a YouTuber I watch. I don't want to like well, I guess we
You
plugged
can
other
plug
people.
them. Yeah.
Josh Strife Hayes. He's an MMO reviewer.
Yeah.
And he talks about how video games have these things called quit moments where someone is in, is encountered, or they encounter a system or something in a game that doesn't work so well or isn't necessarily designed well. And I'm not saying that about Pikmin, but I'm
Yeah.
just saying there are things that I encountered in Pikmin that were so frustrating because I didn't really understand what I was doing wrong. I tried using the C stick to get them to kind of line up and
Yeah.
like slow. I got most of them across, but I still felt like there was nothing I could do
Yeah.
to have them behave or execute that in a way that was what I wanted them to do.
And
And that's a quit moment for me. Like that is like if there's nothing I can do, then there's no point.
I think that's just a point in that specific instance that's where you have to start yeeting them across yourself, and then you just don't take the whole group with you. You only take some of them, and you just try and do the battle with a limited number of Pikmin and stuff like that. I
Mhm.
think that's just something that again you learn through subsequent playthroughs.
Yeah.
So and it's really hard to learn that if you don't want to do a subsequent playthrough.
Well, and also it's like I don't know if I yeet them over there if someone's just all of a sudden gonna
Yeah.
like one of those long necks is just gonna pop up because it detects the Pikmin, and then I lose half my Pikmin that are
Yeah.
standing over there. I'm trying to get the other half across.
Mhm.
And so it's just like there are these unknowns that, like you said, you learn through subsequent playthroughs, but I felt some of them were just so punishing
Yeah.
and demoralizing for me that I was like, dang, I was like, I just don't want to do this anymore. I just can't get it right.
Yeah, and I agree with that. It's like it shouldn't punish you. It should be like it shouldn't hinder you to the point where you can't finish it in the 30 days. It should make it so, okay, I can do this faster and better next
Mhm.
time. Not, oh, crap, I am just not going to finish now. It shouldn't be like that. And I think there are points in Pikmin 1 where it's just like, yep, okay, I might as well just restart the entire game now or give up. Like you said,
Yeah.
quit moment.
That's another thing in the GameCube version. I don't know if you realize this. Speaking of restarting, you cannot replay the day.
Oh,
You can't like go to your save file and you know how it says like day 5.
yeah.
You can't then thumb through and go back to
Interesting.
4. Like I can't be on 5 then go back to 4. If I was going to replay a day, literally have to alt F4 dolphin and like reboot the game all over
Yeah.
again in order to retry.
See, that's something that's, like, standard in the Pikmin games now, and it's I've never used it. I think I used it well, that's not true. I only used it on day 29 when I was battling the Emperor Bulborb, which I really wish that we could talk about that, but you didn't get there. Another very hard boss. That would have been a for sure quit moment for you.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, that was the only time I used it was because I thought it was game over, but I actually had an extra day left, and it ended up being fine once I learned I had to you can play day 30. It doesn't end when the clock strikes 30.
Yeah, it's the 30th day.
Yeah. You still get to play out the 30th day, which I did not understand that. I get why you don't like it, but at the same time, from what you're saying, what would redeem it, I think you would enjoy Pikmin 2. Just because, I don't know, time is just not an issue in that game. For me, I want the series to go back to the time limit. I wish they would do that. And there is a little bit of that in a side thing in Pikmin 4, but it's I just wish that they would go back to it because I like the threat of time. But if you don't like the threat of time, I think you would enjoy Pikmin 2. And it's a much, much more challenging game, even without the time limit.
That tells me something though. If their response in the sequel was to effectively eliminate the time limit,
I'm in the minority.
that their thoughts on the game's design was, oh, maybe that doesn't need to be as strict. Makes me feel better that in subsequent games they're like, all right, maybe
Yeah.
it doesn't need to be that
Mhm.
strict.
Yeah.
But I also understand someone like you who enjoys the stress of it. Like,
Mhm.
no, I like being like getting it done efficiently and like, oh, Olimar still could have survived another 15 more days.
Yeah.
Like he was in no rush. Because it makes if you're playing as Olimar and you're really getting into it, it makes you feel like, oh yeah, like he's super smart because he's me, because I'm
Mhm.
playing as him. Like, I'm him.
Yeah. I wish that there was, like, even a hard mode or, like, can some really creative people out there make some Pikmin 1, ROM hacks? Something, so I can
Give
get
Jake a
another
randomizer.
there are Pikmin randomizers, but I haven't
That's
tried it yet.
sounds like
It's
hell.
not it's not, like, the same. I think you just swap the parts out in different spaces. It's not quite the same. I just want a new Pikmin 1 experience is what I'm getting at, but I still enjoy all the rest of the games, even though I complain about Pikmin 3, because Pikmin three's stress is you run out of food instead of time, but food is everywhere. It's the only thing you collect in that game, so there's really no threat in that game, but
Right.
I like the collectathon with a threat. And it's also strategy. There's a bit of puzzle element to it. It's just it melds. It's a medley of all the things I love in games, and I think it's played out very well. But I understand that it's not a game for everyone. And I think the sales numbers reflect that.
I don't know, man. They made 4 of them.
Yeah, but after 1 and 2, there were 10 years between 2 and 3, and another 10 years between 3 and 4.
Oh man. I can't say I disagree. But I'm still mad because I haven't gotten another F-Zero game and there are 4 Pikmins. So But that's
Yeah.
a separate subject.
That's
I'm bitter about Nintendo and I have beef when it comes to certain properties they will not interact with or
yeah.
acknowledge. What is this? What is this polywog boss or like a mushroom boss that you were saying
Oh.
that you were actually ranting about?
Okay. So the
I think this is going to be funny to hear you talk about this guy.
the Wally hop is the frog boys. They hop up and they float in the air for a second and then they smack
I
down.
did encounter them.
Yeah.
Yes.
I really don't like those guys, but in the middle of this playthrough for the podcast, I learned the trick to beat them. And that's another thing with the game. You just got to keep playing the game to learn everything. And I'm a hypocrite because I don't think that's the way to go for a lot of games. But for a short game like this, I feel like it's okay. But I learned in this playthrough, my second playthrough, oh, you throw them and you stop throwing them once he goes up in the air. So there's nothing below, there's no Pikmin below him. And then once he smacks the ground, that doesn't hurt the Pikmin unless they're underneath him. If they're on him, they just go flying off. You can whistle them back and you can start the spam process over again. So
Mm.
it's really not that hard. It's just a little time consuming. I wish that they didn't have as much health because it still takes at least 4 cycles for me, and that's just especially when you get to that last sequence before the final trial, the distant spring, there are, I think, like 10 of them, and it's just like, "Man, you couldn't have done something a little bit different with these guys? You coulda put some more water enemies around in the giant water space over there."
Yeah.
It's just that's my complaint, but I think it's a bit of a nitpick because now I know how to beat them. It's just a little time consuming.
Yeah. Which is
Uh,
still kind of like, you wish it was
yeah,
faster.
I just wish it was a little another potential quality of life improvement, but I think they've improved it enough with the Switch game. But the mushroom guy, the puff stool, I do not like just because it's hard to evade the gas that turns your Pikmin against you. But I think that's just it's a hard boss in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't I think it's just the difficulty curve. I don't think it's really something that I can complain too much about.
Okay.
I need to get good, kid.
True. Eat your get goodios in the morning.
Yeah.
One thing I did actually like a moment I had where I was like, oh wow, I'm smart. Like I might be understanding this game.
Uh-huh.
Was when I figured out that red Pikmin were immune to fire.
Mhm.
That was really fun because video games. That was the one time in the game I felt like I understood. I mean, blue Pikmin and water, it makes sense, but
Yeah.
that one, like, you wouldn't know until you lose hundreds of Pikmin to the blow
Yeah,
hogs.
yeah, yeah. Red equals fire. We get it.
All right, I'm
I
just
did
saying.
not think of that in my playthrough, my first playthrough. And like I said in the Ocarina of Time podcast, I don't. I'm probably gonna be better about it now because I'm sure I got roasted in the comments on that one. But Pokemon has made me not want to read a lot of dialogue, and so I was not really reading the dialogue from Olimar in my first playthrough. And then I learned from other things like, oh wow, I should really read the story and stuff. But maybe I just skipped it because I feel like I did read the story, but I did not know for a long time that red Pikmin were resistant to fire, which maybe I should have known because blue is water and water or blue Pikmin are resistant to water. But I did not come across that thought in the beginning, and that's on me.
And is there any resistance that yellow Pikmin have to electricity, or does that come into
In
play later?
subsequent games in 2,
Okay,
3, and 4, yeah, they add that because it's kind of like, oh wow, they don't really have an element that they're
they can pick
against.
up bombs.
Yeah, I don't know how yellow equals bombs and lighter, which that's another thing. I didn't know that they were lighter because there's no obvious indication based off of color that yellow Pikmin are lighter.
Yeah. That was something that like you read and he's like, I can throw them farther, I guess.
Yeah. Like,
And
I
you're like,
didn't notice that. I'm like,
yeah.
I wasn't like, oh yeah, I can get an extra inch out of these guys.
Yeah.
Their ears really make them aerodynamic. They're the only one with ears.
Add more things, which creates more drag. Except
Yeah.
you can. Well, maybe they glide a little bit.
Yeah, maybe their wings we don't notice in the 480p of the GameCube that they flap their ears to.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, there's things that aren't super intuitive, but shocker, if you read, you're gonna learn more.
You gain knowledge. And maybe in 10 years when Pikmin 5 comes out.
Please, Nintendo, don't.
Maybe in 10 years, I'll retry Pikmin 1 again on the Switch and go, not bad.
Maybe we play Hey Pikmin.
What is that?
That's the 3DS 2D scroller that they made that I have not heard anybody say anything positive about.
I didn't even know. Now that you mention it, I vaguely remember that. But,
Yeah.
But probably same thing. It was just so bad that it didn't like make an impact.
Yeah. I'm curious. It's the only Pikmin game I haven't played, so I'll probably play it at some point. But
You're just a glutton for Pikmin.
yeah, oh man, give me more. Feed me, Mr. Miyamoto, please.
Shiggy, come on.
I almost, more than anything, just want to be the fly on the wall while you play Pikmin 2, if that ever is a thing that happens. But
I'm sure, like I said, if there's enough interest, I might end up streaming that.
ooh, I'd love that. Sound off in the comments, please.
Yeah. Just want to say once again, I'm sorry. Don't hate me. We'll have plenty of moments where we'll all agree that we love something. I mean, last episode was a pretty happy one.
Yeah.
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 I don't know. I just feel bad.
Yeah. Don't hate the player, hate the game.
Which I do. So, but I think, yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
I will end off with this. What's your favorite Pikmin?
Red.
I
like fire. Well, red's my favorite color, and
Yeah.
I also just like fire in general.
Yeah.
Little bit of a pyromaniac in my youth. He says, being only 24.
Yeah.
I still am. So, what's yours?
Maybe it's just because everybody seems to hate on them, but I'm a blue Pikmin guy. I love my blue Pikmin.
It's the mouth.
Yeah. What?
It's the mouth. The gills.
Oh. I also
They kind of stare at you like the.
I think they're the funniest Pikmin.
That's, you know what? I agree with that.
Yeah.
Because of the mouth.
The meme, the bruh meme.
Bruh.
Everybody's favorite overall is the purple Pikmin because he's OP in Pikmin 2. He's a thick boy.
Dang, boy, he's thick.
He's double cheeked up on a Thursday afternoon. The sun is still out. I think that's a great time to end this podcast. Thank you guys so much for watching. Actually, this is probably the point where we would normally, or where we will, throw in points from our patrons. What you guys think at home, because this is a club. We want to talk with you guys as much as we can.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you can't be in this middle spot on the couch, but if you want to subscribe to the Patreon, which is only $5 a month, you can not only get all of these podcasts 1 week early, with exception to the new games like Spider-Man, but you can also hopefully get to have your thoughts appear in this podcast. But as of recording, we've got one guy, and we went to high school with him, and he's never a great guy, but he's never played Pikmin as far as we know. So
yeah,
we can't really get his thoughts. And you guys won't see this until the comment section is a thing, and by that point it'll be too late. So
yeah, but you guys have your own discussion in the comments too about what you think.
Please still talk about it in the comments.
And give this video a like and subscribe. It helps us
grow.
And
give
tithes to the algorithm.
Our little Pikmin seed will grow.
Yeah, give us the little. What are they called? The pellets.
Yeah.
Every like is a pellet that helps us.
One like, one pellet.
Yeah, one like, one pellet. You get one Pikmin.
But anyways,
we will see you next week.
for
for
Spider-Man
Marvel's
2.
Spider-Man 2, and I will have a special surprise in store. Yes, Jake pointing at my Venom shirt.
That's blocked by the
That's
microphone.
blocked. You know what? I'm going to move it so you guys can get a good look at it.
And I'll mention that we will be playing that as soon as possible. Again, like I said, Patreon members, you'll maybe get it a day or two early, but no promises there.
I'm going deep into the game.
Yeah.
I'm forcing Jake to explore.
No, I'm gonna still try and 100% the game. It's gonna be tough doing it in a weekend, but I think we can do it.
He just won't get to sleep, and I will choose not to.
He won't sleep. I will. I have to work on Saturday.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, just like I said, bring your PS5 to work. Plug it into the monitor.
I'm sure my father would love that.
You know.
But anyways, see you next week for Spider-Man and
my spider sense